Pat Alvoy called me, and he said, "You're probably crying already." And I said, as only Pat could say, right? And I said, "Shut up," and I'm not. And I said I wouldn't this morning, then I got a couple texts, and I said, boy, I'm going to lose it already before I even get into the office. But that's why I took the time to write some stuff down, because I'm probably not going to cover all of it. And if I leave someone out, please know that it was not intentional at all. But first off, thanks for the privilege of your time. I know how busy you are. I know all the customers that you take care of on a daily basis. And for you to give up that time to be with me and be with Kim and I today is very important. And I can't thank you enough. On our dining room wall, Kim had painted a couple years back, it says, "To be rich in love is to be rich in life." To be rich in love is to be rich in life. And I look at that and I say, you know what? When I look back, I said, I've been a very rich guy all my life. I grew up with 2 great parents, fortunate, 6 brothers and sisters, and I think all of them like me. I'm shocked that my older brother actually wrote something, because if you would meet him, stone-faced guy, tough guy, really a tough guy. He's done great things in business, and he's raised a great family and all that kind of stuff. But I've always been rich. You know, I think it's a context. Maybe your bank account might define that for some people, but for me, it was always, I had a great family and a great group of friends, and a lot of them are here today. You know, Yolanda, it was funny, Yolanda and I were talking about, I hired Yolanda, and I was a young guy, and I thought I knew a lot of stuff. So we go for this interview, and I sit down with Yolanda, and I start telling her, well, you're going to do this, and this is how I expect you to work, and this is what I want you to do. This. And she looks at me, she says, time out. Jesus, time. He said, this is what I do. This is how I will do it. And I promise to keep you out of trouble. I said, this is my lady. She quickly set the tone of the relationship right off the bat. No, Jeff, listen to me. In fact, she used to lean down here and listen to me. Okay. I'll get that on here. You know, I've had mentors in my life, and I've recommended to a lot of you to get a mentor in your professional careers. Somebody who wants to see you succeed, somebody who is honest with you, somebody who will help you, and you don't necessarily work for that person, right? So somebody's going to tell you the truth, even when you make mistakes or you've done something wrong. They're going to tell you about it. And I've got one of my dear mentors here in the room today is Bob McCullough. Bob and I, like he said, have known each other a long time. One of the smartest executives I've ever been around, and I've been around a lot of businesses, but a guy who knows how to put things into perspective, how to motivate people and lead people, and a guy who was not afraid to tell me, Jeff, you're going down the wrong path. Those steam room conversations that he talked about earlier helped me so many days here in this company, because I was thinking, I want to do this, Bob. What do you think? No. Don't do that, Jeff. This is what could happen. Or better said, he would say, Jeff, if you do that, what are the consequences that could happen? What are the good things and what are the bad things? And he would tell me that. And we worked through it. And they were immeasurable to me about how well we've done. So Bob, I can't thank you enough for all the years that you've done it. I had an old friend of mine in Florida, a guy by the name of Hank. And Hank was an old accountant from Westinghouse, and I would send Hank my business plans. This is the day before we had email and all that stuff. I would send Hank a yellow envelope, and he would send it back to me just with so much red on it, I thought he cut his throat or something when he was reading it. And he would tell me about the things that I was doing right and the things that I was doing wrong, and again, ask all those questions. Jeff, what if this happens? What if that happens? What are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with that? And he corrected me, and he kept me on the straight and narrow. And there are more, and I can't list them all here, but off the top of my head, those 2 guys really were instrumental in getting me to where we were. Robert talked about a vision that we had with the company. When Robert said about trust, the very first thing I wrote down on my notes here about people was the fact that Robert trusted me. He trusted me, and And that meant he let me do all kinds of goofy things as you saw in those pictures, or try different things with customers because he had a trust that we were going to do the right things. And Robert's got to know I trusted him with my life, with my family, which is what we did. Phil Miner. I've said this before. Phil's an executive, as a person that has the ability to look around a corner. Very few people have it. Guys that can look at something and say, this isn't what people need. I'm going to develop what people need. I'm going to show them what they need, and I'm going to direct them there. And Phil saw that, and we shared a vision there, and it was powerful. Phil introduced us to Danny Butler. Those of you who don't know Danny, Danny was our banker with Jefferson Bank, and I could only imagine the conversation that Phil had with Danny about, I'm going to start this national business, and I need a lot of money. And Danny's probably asking, well, how are you going to pay for it? I don't know. And then he brought Steve with him, and those two were instrumental in getting Danny to help fund us to get our business started. And without that, we're not here. So those of you that have visions of starting your businesses and somewhere along the line like that, develop a relationship with a banker that believes you and believes in you. And that was Danny for us. And it was with Steve and Phil and others that convinced them to let them start this part of our business with us here. Rick Upton. Rick and I met at the food bank, and I thought, boy, if this guy could get any stiffer, it would be a bore. Hi, I'm Rick Upton. Nice to meet you. And you know what's amazing to me is he had that same suit on when I met him. And I'm jealous because he can still wear it. That's really what I'm most jealous about. But I was so impressed with him when I first met him that I went back to see Bob, who was running manufacturing at the time for HEB. And I said, Bob, I found a guy, because HEB was exploring opening a soda plant or doing something like this. I said, I found a guy that can run your soda plants, Rick Upton. He said, what do you mean? I said, this guy with Pepsi, he's a little stiff, but I said, but I got to know him running the food bank, and what I found out was that formality was there for just a moment, and then you saw the heart of the guy that he was when he hired Eric Cooper, and we hired Eric Cooper into our food bank. And those of you that support the food bank and have met Eric know what a great hire he was. When Rick came on board with us, our sales were $16 million revenue. Last year, they were $97 million. So you think you have an impact on the sales of the organization and what we've done? It's a hell of a record, Rick. And today, in accumulation, we've done over $500 million in revenue. $500 million from a startup. And Rick, you were a huge part of that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Trey Rader here. Trey had to get an interview with a 13-year-old sitting at a kitchen table over dinner last night, and he still came to work for us, which was really surprising me. But
really needed a job.
I thought it was Kim's charm and personality. But you know what I remember about one of the things that was interesting about Trey and Robert, we got a call from one of our customers, Home Depot, said they have, Toys R Us. They had a big inspection coming on the next day. Very big inspection. And one of the things that the regional guy had committed to was a cart corral. You know the little cart corrals? In the parking lot. Oh yeah, we got them. We got them. Jeff, we ain't got them. What are we going to do? I said, that's all right, Robert and Trey can do it. So I called Robert and said, you got to get Trey, we got to build a cart corral. I said, what the hell's that? I said, we pulled it up online. Oh, that? Yeah, we can do that. So Robert and Trey went off to some went to a Home Depot store first.
Yeah, in Dallas, right?
Dallas.
Yeah.
Bought pipe, bought fittings, bought flanges, and went out in the parking lot, drove it up with chalk, and built 2 cart corrals for the Toys R Us guy at night. So when they did the inspection the next day, they were already done.
So he's good at.
Yeah, and and it's just how do you get people to work with that will do those kinds of things? And Corey Weber put maps together for us with all of our vendors back when we didn't know what the hell MapQuest. We had the Atlas. We didn't need we don't need no stinking MapQuest. We have Atlas. But Corey actually took the time and did it on his own, put those maps together for us. Why? Because he knew it would help everybody else that was coming up behind him to do the job easier. And that's critical when you're growing a business, when you can get folks to do things that make the job a little bit easier for the people coming up behind them. That was great, Corey. Thank you. I couldn't have done anything like that. Mitch, I met Mitch. He was drinking.
No proof of that.
I met Mitch through another friend. Rick had mentioned about friends. Kim and I are blessed with a group of friends that are just vital to our lives, and we love them. But we were at a party, and some guy introduced me to this young guy named Mitch Freeman, and I said, he needs a job. I said, I want to talk to him, I'm drinking. He said, no, you want to talk to this guy. So I sat down in the backyard and had a couple beers with Mitch, and then I said, if you're interested, I'll be in the office tomorrow, which was a Sunday. I said, if you're interested, I'll be in the office Sunday morning. You want to come see me, come see me. I figured that would blow him off. Because I knew how much he was drinking, he wasn't getting up in the morning to come to an interview. And sure enough, he came with a shirt and tie, and I think I had shorts and a t-shirt. But the couple things that I knew about Mitch right off the bat, number one, he was smart. This was a smart guy, and he was hungry. And I says, as an organization, we want smart and hungry. That's what we got to have, smart and hungry. So, Mitch, thanks for taking a shot and coming to work for us, because we said we don't know really what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and when you're going to do it, but we want you to come to work for us, and I think we can pay you, and we've done well with that. Mitch, thank you. We've done. Christina, the college intern. College intern, you guys have heard it all, probably more than she cares to remember, but she came to work for us as a college intern, and worked for Phil and Matt over at the office, and then she went off to Dallas. You know, the big lights of Dallas is going to find her. But then Robert lassoed her back in, and we went up to Dallas. But two of us flew to Dallas. You must have been something to get you back. And she came on back for us. And again, it was one of these, we don't know what your role's going to be, but we need smart people, and we need hungry people. And she said, okay, I'll do it. So she came back to work with us, and I think we can pay her. And we did that. Eloise and Rachel Fennell, they came to work, they took jobs. You know, like a lot of times when you go through a job interview, you ask for a job description. You say, what am I going to do? Can you show me what I'm going to do? No, we don't have that. Well, how much am I going to work? A lot. Am I going to get holidays off? No. Occasional Sunday? Okay, we'll give you that one off. But we need you to create a billables process for us and a payables process for us, and do that. And they did it. They did it. It wasn't written down. We didn't have, maybe the good part about it is they didn't know how to do any of it. So whatever you're doing must have been right. Because the customers were paying us and we were collecting our money, and it was working the way we wanted to do. So Eloise, Rachel, I can't thank you enough for doing that for us. Pam and Donna, they must have made Steve mad one day, because I think Steve assigned them us as his customer. And so Pam and Donna would come down on a weekly basis, would meet with Kim, and they would go over whip adjustments. Really exciting shit, whip adjustments. And I'm telling you, I still think there's something wrong with that whip stuff. I don't agree with the way it was written down, because it never seemed to help us. But again, it was creating something we didn't have. I don't know if you ever baked at home or cooked something up. Kim and I have these battles all the time about baking and cooking, and I just do it, and Kim writes it down, and she measures stuff, and sometimes her stuff tastes better than mine. Probably most of the time, Kim's stuff tastes better than mine, but it's that ability to write stuff down and to repeat it and do it again. And Pam and Donna, they had to write stuff for us and do it and create it for us, and we wouldn't have been able to get moving forward without it. Colette, we hired Colette as our HR person. Steve did. We didn't have HR. We didn't need no HR. But we hired Colette as an agent, and we said, what are you going to do? We said, well, you're going to be our HR person. What's that mean? I don't know. You tell us what it's going to be. And she did it. And she created what started what we have now, Christian Gomez. I saw Christian here earlier. There he is. We hired Christian and we said, what are you going to do? Whatever we don't want to do. You're going to have to do it. And he said, what do you mean? Whatever Robert tells you, whatever Kim tells you, doesn't matter. And Christian, to his credit, said, all I want to do is work. I want a job. I want to learn. And we saw the same thing. He was a smart, hungry guy that we could bring on board with us. And look at him today. He's selling for us up on the north side of San Antonio and Austin. And Christian, you've done a great job. And all the credit in the world to you, how hard you worked. And Natasha Clark. Did you guys see that baby picture with all the girls lined up? Babies up here? She was one of those in that picture. And she came for an interview in that little dinky office that we had. And I think she was wearing a Chanel suit. She looked sharp. And I looked at Kim, I said, hire her. She says, I don't even know what she does. I said, I don't care, hire her. And she was another one that we hired and didn't really have a job, but she trusted us. She trusted us to come to work for us. And Sandra Pagan and Mark Canales and Cecilia, Kia Marino and Mark Orsone, all these guys came to work with us, and we just sold them on this vision that we were going to build something great, and they believed it, and they came to work. And Chris Galvan, Chris worked 20 years, probably on the minor side of the business, and it was an expert at that business, was a sought-out expert in that business, and was asked to come over here and bring that expertise and help us formalize and process a lot of the work that we did, and Chris did it. He took himself out of a comfortable position, a position he knew very, very well, was very well respected to do it, and said, I'm going to come over here and help these guys in a way. And I think, Chris, one of your first hires was probably Diana. It's close to it. Was there from there. And again, I said I knew Chris was smart, and I knew he had a good eye for talent, and he came to work for us. And Chris, thank you for all you've done for us. Kevin, his interactive maps with Walmart, you wouldn't believe how much we sold that. And it was the map where you hovered over and saw how things were great. We didn't have that. Kevin created that. He did it. Tyler, with his Frito-Lay projects, he did some work on there. Jordan Manus, we hired Jordan. First we hired Will Hall. And then I said, Will, you got anybody else like you? And I didn't know he'd bring in a guy that size to come to work for us. I meant, do you have somebody that's smart and wants to work hard? And he said, yeah, I got them. And I looked out and said, hell, I got to hire him or he'll beat the hell out of him. And, but we watched Jordan come on board, and again, what do you know? We're going to teach you what we know, but you're going to have to do a lot of these things on your own. And he's built himself a reputation where customers call him my Jordan. I want to keep my Jordan, and go from there. Pat Elboy, you guys know Pat. Those of you who have met Pat. Pat built our review books and our accounting books, and Pat brought to us a $1 billion approach to business. We never thought of that in those contexts of the way that he did it. Pat was very instrumental. He says I didn't talk to him for 5 months when he came to work here, which is probably true, but Pat did a great job for us, and I learned a tremendous amount from Pat. Our IT department today, I don't know how many people are in it. There's a bunch. We got computers everywhere. I don't know how many computers you got back out here. I can remember when we bought a PC, that was a big thing. We bought a laptop, holy shit. We are cruising, baby. We don't need anything else. All of that was started and created by Justin Steen. We didn't have any of this. Nothing. We had a guy we hired part-time that was doing some work for us, was helping us with Sage product, and I don't know what the hell that stuff was. But all that, our software programs and all this. But then all of a sudden we said, we got to get big into the IT business. We got to understand this business. And we hired Justin. In spite of him coming to an interview with shorts, Birkenstocks, Birkenstocks, and a t-shirt. And we still hired the guy as he come to work for us here. But he built remember we had the wall of servers?
Oh, yeah.
In one room, we had all these servers like you got a rack space stuff.
Dr. Schmock?
Dr. Schmock, he looked good in that stuff, but he created all this, and he built it from scratch. He didn't follow a blueprint, he made the blueprint. He built the infrastructure and the backbone of what we have today. And what happens when our computer goes down today? Right? We panic. But all of that was started by Justin, and as he's grown in the business, has grown now to run the business from that perspective. So Justin, thank you for all that you did. I could go on for hours with stories of what you all have built. I just happen to be the guy on the front end of the spear in some cases, making that happen and making it work. We had great service partners, right? We were at Atlas, we were calling people up out of the middle of nowhere, saying, will you come do work for us? Who the hell are you? We're in San Antonio, Texas. Okay. And we want you to do service work for us. And they did it. And the people did it. And they did it because, number one, the company had a good reputation. The minor organization had a strong, solid name. We paid them, support of our bankers, giving us money before we had the money to pay. So we paid these folks, and we built an organization on that back of folks that were hungry and folks that wanted to deliver great customer service. And you know, I think the theme that I've talked about for years is to, number one, pass along work better than you found it, right? You heard me talk about that? Lift while you climb. As you're climbing in the organization, don't forget to help the people that you're climbing with. As you go up, reach back on that ladder and help somebody up. You have to do that. You gotta do that. And then you give first and you get second, right? Those of you who give, you'll get. My work at the food bank really started off because I knew about lift trucks and fork trucks, but then when I got there, it became a passion and a life and a love for helping other people. And it was also at that time that I actually met a lady on the food bank board that helped finance this business. She didn't know me. I got a loan from her to start a business that we don't have assets. We don't have trucks and buildings and such. You know, we had ideas and things, and she helped me a great deal, but it wouldn't have happened probably without my involvement in the food bank. And lastly, I want to talk about my girlfriend for the last 42 years. She happens to have been my wife for the last 38 of those 42 years. But Kim helps build the infrastructure in his business. You know, Phil and I were talking one day, and he said, you know, we need somebody that's organized, somebody that understands structure, somebody that knows how to write, somebody that knows how to process, all this kind of stuff. And I said, shoot, it's a big job. He said, what's your wife doing? And I said, well, she's getting ready to retire from the cancer world. He said, well, let's bring her in and help us do this. And I said, she doesn't know business. This is not her. She doesn't know fork trucks and dock levels and doors. Phil said, we don't need her for that. We need her for structure and process, and we need her because she can hire talented people, and she's done all that. She allowed me to get the freedom to go out and make deals and sell things that we didn't know how to do. Two things that really come to mind. Circuit City, when they were in business, we got the Circuit City forklift business, which within a matter of 45 days turned on to, I don't know, $3 or $4 million worth of business immediately. And I came back and I said to Kim, we're going to do service work on fork trucks. Kim and Robert and I were sitting up. Robert says, oh, Jesus. And Kim says, how are we going to do that? I said, I don't know, but that's what you and Robert are here to figure out. I'm going to go try to go get the next deal. And we did. And you guys didn't even blink. You took it on, and off we went. We sat in a lunchroom at Circuit City, and we wrote up the service contract. Sat across from a guy named Fred Holland and wrote the service contract. This is what we hand wrote it. So do you like that? Yeah, good. Okay, we'll type it and we'll send it back to you. And that's how we ended up getting that business. But she never wavered from doing something like that. that, I guess she trusted me when she came down here. But you can imagine how busy our life was at that time. We were trying to start the business. Our kids were teenagers, and teenagers sometimes can be a little challenging as they go through life, and ours were no exception to it. And but she raised two wonderful kids. They're great adults today. I'm proud of both of them. One's a doctor, one's an engineer. And I'm like, how the hell did that happen out of me? You know, thank God they have their mom and that gene pool for sure. But they're great people, and they're kind people. They're compassionate people, which is what we wanted to build. What we wanted to raise was kids that were givers, not takers. And Kim, you've helped me write my life story. Can't thank you enough. Really can't. I'm gonna wrap up. I know you guys want to eat. There's a Chinese proverb that says, if you want happiness for a lifetime, help the next generation. If you want happiness for a lifetime, help the next generation, which is what we want to do, right? That's what we're all here for. Make it a little bit better for the people behind us, make it a little bit easier for the people behind us. Remember these 4 things. Live simply, love generously, care deeply, and speak kindly. Thank you for all you've done for me. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.